Help support this channel and get early access to videos plus exclusive content and patrons-only live discussions by becoming a member at patreon.com/Bruce Poinsette.
What's up, everyone? Back to talk about some more media literacy and an upcoming, hopefully, major career pivot. But this video was initially conceptualized a few weeks ago, and at that stage, it was really going to be talking about my plan for a huge heel turn. What is a heel turn? For those who don't know, it's a wrestling term where basically a person who they start out as like the hero, the good guy, and then they do some big dramatic move to become the villain and kind of go from there. So people often talk about Hulk Hogan in like 96, I want to say, supposed to be coming out to a match to support I don't even remember who it was, against the NWO, the New World Order, who were the bad guys at the time, and then you know gets in the ring and takes out the guy who's supposed to be supporting. Everyone's like, oh no. And it's one of the historic moments in not just wrestling but kind of media in general. A lot of people use it, again, just even in talk media now, to talk about how they do the switch, how they make their big heel turn. So initially, like, why would I be talking about a heel turn of all people? And it's a business thing, to be perfectly honest with you. So, you know, the numbers, I I'm lucky to have, lucky to have a following of people who support me, who, really, really mess with what I do. And I don't take that for granted. But at the end of the day, it's still business. There's still numbers, and making it sustainable, you know, is hard. So right now, I'm not getting huge numbers. Like, I'm just as susceptible as a lot of creators, almost all of the creators right now, in that, Patreon, this is kind of a dip period. So it's hitting me too. And to compound that, I've had 2023 has been an interesting year. I've had some few very notable wins, but a lot of L's behind the scenes, and for being real, financially. It's There's been times where it's felt like people who've been partners, or longer term partners, are kind of backing into the bushes like the Homer Simpson meme. And you gotta adjust. I've had to do a lot of thinking about how I put my stuff out, how I market my stuff, who are my actual competitors. Because I think a lot of people, they look at what I do in terms of a journalism media space, and compare me to other people in the media space, especially when it comes to like talking about people of color in Oregon, talking about certain political issues independently. And a lot of the people who, my audience might compare me with or look at it as my competitors, are, the nicest way I can put it is a lot of wannabe DJ academics. For those who don't know who DJ Academics is, he kind of made his name, uh, as a YouTube streaming, sort of like hip hop, news isn't the word, more hip hop gossip personality. Basically made his name parachuting into covering Chicago, exploiting violence happening in Chicago. And most recently got picked up by a big right wing podcast platform. And he's kind of one of the prominent faces of the investment in black conservatism, or in black conservatism, in like hip hop media as of recently. So yeah, a lot of I'm not gonna shout them out by name, but you have a lot of varying degrees of people kind of doing the look at the wackiness of Portland. Look at the not even wackiness. Look at the suffering in Portland. Let's laugh at the suffering in Portland type content. And statistically, they are lapping me. You know, it's not a surprise if you, especially if you're talking about poor people, you're talking about black and brown people for a largely white audience, and you're making fun of them, you're going to get some numbers. Is it enough numbers to be like a big business on its own? No. And it's also been interesting watching some of these things pop up and then kind of die down slash go away because, you know, in order to do the numbers you actually have to do to make this a sustainable business on its own are pretty insane. Like you're trying to do like millions of views consistently, hundreds of thousands of views consistently. And it's not to say it can't be done, but it is work. It's and when I look at this and think, are these my competitors? No. We happen to be doing stuff on similar mediums, but there are people who are actually successful in this space who do something more along the lines I do. I think of someone like FD Signifier, it's a progressive video essayist, and oftentimes not just does he do videos on certain issues, pop culture analysis, but most recently, excuse me, he did a video on doing video essays on why he utilizes clickbait and explaining the process, explaining using different thumbnails and not being afraid to switch out thumbnails, being able to how you pick your topics, how you work and try and manipulate the algorithm in your favor. And honestly, like watching that was very much like a roadmap of yeah, here's some of the things I've thought about or I've talked with people about as far as like how I can enhance my videos if I spent more time on them and how I might be able to optimize this content. And it's might see more so you might see more attention to this in the future. But also another thing that not just FD Signifier, but a lot of people who've been successful in the content field will also note is that once you've kind of alienated the algorithm, it is very hard to build your standing. Like it does not promote, it just stops promoting your videos because it assumes people don't want to see them. So I'm at a space now where I've probably fucked myself over, at least with this channel, on the algorithm for the foreseeable future. So even if I do the full investment, that's not a guarantee. And many people who didn't do that, make the full investment, don't pop either, because it's not just putting in the work, but it takes a lot of circumstances. With that said, like I'm gonna keep going with the channel, so no big announcement there. I am, however, looking to apply for a local radio station gig that we'll see how it goes. If I get it, it's the opportunity to host on a much bigger platform and reach more people, which I think is really the need. The necessity is very much coming to picture, coming to focus, especially these last few months, not just with thinking about my own existential worries, but I think about especially the stories exploiting the fentanyl crisis, exploiting homelessness in Portland. And you look at Willamette Week comes to mind, or Willamette Week getting mad when the New York Times swoops in and does the same thing, and you just keep seeing how a lot of people, most people are not going to be in these social justice circles. Most people are not even thinking about harm reduction, not really had to engage with it. And there's clearly a need to engage the people with these ideas on a meaningful level, not just in little quick sound bites or memes that, again, often don't get out of our social justice circles. So it's kind of where I'm turning my attention, is how I know the value in what I'm trying to report on, what I'm trying to engage people with, what I interview people about. But getting the message to the people as currently constructed is not doing it. So we got to tool that around. If this job goes through, cross my fingers, that would be one big step. But also, I'm not letting go of building this platform. The long goal continues. It's just a matter of doing the Hakeem Olajuwon, making a little pivot. And recently, one of the things I've been covering a lot is like the local art scene, installations, how people get their media, how people get their stories out beyond just the media industry, and specifically with visual artists. So one of the things I've been thinking about is like I've done some of these projects, in particular the Oregon Humanities Storytelling Fellowship, where we've got photos by Intezar Abioto. We've got video by Open Signal Labs, like professional, high quality video. And of course, my essays to go along with it. Is there a way to find a space where I can do an installation, maybe blow up the pictures, clip out some of the more potent parts of some of these interviews, get it all edited and color corrected and all that good stuff? I've seen some proof of concept with this. I went to a installation. Speaking of Abiotos, their family did an installation at the Reeser over in Beaverton a few months ago, and it didn't just include photos, sculptures. It had videos. It had the lyrics to songs on the walls, and I'm thinking to myself, I've got work that could fit into formats like this to tell these stories. And I've also seen that there is a market for engaging with the work I do in a different space. I've had a couple, successful proof of concept moments in these past couple of years. One, again, with Intezar, where we last summer hosted a storytelling event featuring, unreleased photos from the first time we did a Eastern Oregon trip back in 2014. And it was just simply getting on the stage at the Alberta House, showing the photos on the big screen projector behind us, and then just telling stories, just like the different things that happened in between. And it really engaged the audience, and it worked out. Then just last month, I did a screening for Race Talks of the uncut full video of the Black Oregon Natives and Transplants dinner. Again, for an audience, we had discussion questions. We're able to engage in the long form as opposed to just throwing it out there into the ether and hoping people watch. And not just was it successful in terms of feel, but was able to raise about 2,300 that night based on that success, so that I can pay an editor to cut it down to a version that I can then pitch to, be it the Portland airport, or maybe use for an installation. So I know this can work. It's just a matter of getting there and making those things happen. And I've seen it obviously on a bigger scale in terms of unconventional applications in these installation spaces. As a hip hop fan, I think of Yasin Bey, formerly known as Mos Def, releasing basically one of his albums like you have to come to the exhibit to hear it. And that, like, it wasn't out on streaming services or anything like that. You had to come to the exhibit to experience the album. Wu-Tang Clan has done similar ventures, and they were seen as very risky in the media at the time when they were done. And it was almost, many people kind of painted it as pretentious, honestly. And yet I feel like time has proven them right in terms of not making their stuff disposable, in terms of trusting the audience will be willing to engage at this deeper level, or that the work is worth engaging at this deeper level without compromising. So I'm not Yasin Bey, I'm not the Wu-Tang Clan, I'm not the Abiotos, but I know I've got something. And we gotta try something different. We gotta engage people in a different way. I've seen that it can work on a couple smaller levels with my own work. I know the places to talk to make it happen. So it's a risk, but at the end of the day, this work cannot be all for naught. Stay tuned.